Most people don't stop marketing their book because they're lazy. In fact, I know you're not. You stopped because you don't really know how to show up without feeling salesy, awkward, fake. You don't know how to show up as you. So today I want to just show you how to stay visible in a way that actually feels just like you. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 40 books and counting. Over the course of the last 40 years in business, I've had the amazingly wonderful privilege of working with over 5,000 authors, helping them in the process of writing, publishing, marketing their books to bestseller, everything that goes beyond that. You want, you need, and the world deserves for your book to be visible, to be valuable, to be seen, to be heard. And then from that, you will find that you're in demand, and that being in demand leads to you being paid. And that's what I want for you. I want to see you living the life and fulfilling the things that only you can do in this world. To be the person that you're meant to be in this world, that you're meant to make such a massive, major, powerful impact in. Are you ready to talk about that just a little bit today? Let's jump into visibility and the whole concept of why you didn't really quit your book. You didn't quit marketing it because you don't love your book. You just quit because after the launch, you weren't really sure what to do. And you absolutely didn't want to feel pressury, salesy, pitchy, or any other kind of, just jerk about it, really. And so, what you need to understand is visibility may feel uncomfortable, um, especially after all that you put into. You need to make sure that you're launching your book and not just announcing it. That means you have an intentional plan. You have all of the things that set your book up for success. But then after you've launched the book, and if you've done your launch right, you've hit the bestseller list. You number one, absolutely, you need to use that credential. You are a best-selling author. Absolutely, you need to share that with the world. I am the best-selling author of on the subject of. Whatever your specialty is, whatever your niche is, whatever you do really well, you need to share that with the world. Hey, that one guy, glad to have you here with us. Um, you know, there's a difference between pressure marketing and being present and visible, being there for somebody. There's a big difference between, do you want to buy my stuff? Would you like to buy something? And hey, I'm here for you. I would love to help you if I can. Aw, thanks, that one guy. I really appreciate that. That felt really good. I really, really appreciate that. You know, it's so easy to feel like you're pressuring people when really most of the time that's your own voice in your head. What most of you are doing, I know, is you're just showing up. It feels like pressure because you don't have this massive amounts of people that are jumping into your social media post or whatever else you might be doing and telling you how much they appreciated what you did. Just like that one guy just did. I appreciated that so much. Um, you know, and so we begin to get up in our heads and feel like, oh, nobody's replying, or I'm not getting a ton of responses, or I didn't go massive viral because we're listening to the voices of the people who already had huge followings. If you have, okay, if you can on a random Tuesday, happens to be Tuesday, right? If you can on a random Tuesday, go live and talk about nothing. Okay. I mean, I'm talking about like, talk about salad, talk about this water bottle. Hi, I just came on today to talk to you about the water bottle. And you have such a following that when you hop on and talk about something of that little consequence, that you have hundreds of thousands or even millions of people that follow you, that's a completely different animal. All right. If you can get somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 to 5,000, 3,000 being kind of the sweet spot, replies to a random Tuesday post, to a random Tuesday, quick reel, you are a different sort of person than the person who, when they go on, they get very few likes and comments. And most of us are in that space. Hey, Bud, been glad to have you here with us. Um, you know, it's important that you understand that you're showing up and you're really showing up for that one person. And that person may join you live. They may come on and go, "Oh, I'm so glad you came on, and I'm so glad you said that thing to you." They may hear it in a couple of days, a couple of months. They may not even hear it for years. But when it happens for that person, it's absolutely important. And when we show up from that spirit of showing up, and when we do that consistently, because we consistently want to make an impact, that's not being salesy. And I want to kind of give you permission to let go of that mind trash that we all have. Okay, so don't feel bad about it. We all have that runs through our heads. I want you to release that from yourself and really allow yourself to see how incredibly cool you are and hear yourself doing the things to help others versus just all the judgment that you put on yourself for things that you aren't doing to the people around you. So kind of let that go, because how you show up is what's going to build the trust, and that you show up is what's going to build the trust by having a clear message. So in other words, you're not somebody who is some vapid influencer that takes off enough clothing, or is cuckoo crazy enough, or whatever, you know that people are following you. But you really actually legitimately have whatever you're following in people is. And if it's one person, that is more than enough. And when you show up with a clear messaging to that person and you do it consistently, they know they can count on every day, a couple times a week, whatever your posting schedule is, in whatever way you do it, they know they can count on you. And when they can sense and feel that real deep inside of you desire and intention to connect with them, then, no, Leah, glad to see you. It's good to have you here with us. Um, you know, when they feel that intention from you, they're not going to feel sold to. They're going to be glad that they spent the time with you. And that clarity, consistency, and connection, that creates the know, like, and trust. And ultimately, in the end, we buy from people that we know, like, and trust. We buy from stores that we know, like, and trust. I'm not saying we don't try out new things. Absolutely, we do. Most of the time, what do we do when we try out something new? We look at what the reviews of what other people have said about it. Very, very rarely these days do we just, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but do we just, on a wing and a prayer, go walk into some random restaurant? Now, if you happen to be on the road and you're driving down the road and, you need to stop and have lunch, a lot of times, first of all, we stop at places that we know, chain restaurants or things like that, because we know that essentially it's going to be similar to something we're familiar with. But sometimes, you're in small towns or whatever, and you just kind of go to the place. And let's be honest, sometimes you've found hidden gems that are like, oh my gosh. And probably, if you're like me, you've probably posted, I can't believe I found this place. It's so amazing. Okay. And maybe you're their first review. And they really, really will appreciate it, because then the next time, but in those kind of incidences, we don't, pull off to the side of the road and do a whole bunch of reviews. We just see a sign and it's like, oh, that kind of food sounds interesting. That's what and it's lunchtime, and so we pull over. But other than that, we do our research. The same thing's true like when we buy clothes. You may try out a new place, but what are you going to look for before you walk out of there with a new set of clothes? Or before you walk out, I mean, especially if we start talking about car dealerships or things like that, a new real estate agent, you want to feel really connected to them. You want to know that you can trust them. You want to really truly like them and feel very, very comfortable. And when you have that know, like, and trust, then you feel really good about walking out of the place. When you feel pressured, have you ever found something that you really like, but you felt pressured by the person, and so you decided to not get it? Yeah, I understand that feeling all too well. And it's okay. What I'm saying to you today is you're not doing that. You just want to be visible as you. Show up with, all of your quirks, all of your things, everything that is you, and just show up as you. The people that you're meant to serve, they're going to click with you. Absolutely. They're going to be like, yeah, this dude's cool. And for the people who don't click, that's actually a bonus too, because that's people you don't have to deal with. And this becomes especially true when we talk about our book. We put our heart and soul and the core of who we are into our book. We don't have to share it with everybody. Yeah, if you work with me, we can definitely get you a bestseller, And if you want to do the big push and you're like, no, I want to make New York Times bestseller. Now, nobody can guarantee that, and it's not an inexpensive process, but we could help you do that too if you wanted to. Whatever level you want to show up at, whatever budget you want to do, but you want to show up with that book so that the person who needs it can really truly find it. What I'd love to do is just have you drop down below in the comments the link to your book. Let me take a look at it. I'll give you some free advice on it. If you just really want to jump in even deeper, you can go to AskSteveKid.com, and I'm glad to do a review of your book for you and tell you specifically, here's the things that you need to do. And just, spend about 15 minutes with you, giving you some tips on things you can do. Sure, I'd love it if you want to work with me. We have some really cool things we can do to help you with your book, whether it's just getting ready to come out or it's 25 years old. We've got stuff in place that we can do for you. Because ultimately, you don't need better scripts. You do need to clearly know who you're actually meant to serve. And then just lead with service. When you lead with that service, visibility stops feeling like selling, and it really just feels like serving. Oh, Miss Nolia, I'm so glad to hear that you're done with the Mother's Prayer. Let me know how I can help you. I'm still here for you. And again, feel free to go to AskSteveKid.com. Schedule a time with me. I'm glad to help. I hope you're happy, safe, warm, and loved. And until we're together again next time, you have a great week.